Hi guys, it's Lily,
And this is Clover.
and welcome back to.
All the tea we cannot sip. I think this is podcast number 10. Did we make it to double digits?
Oh my gosh, we're doing this thing.
We were just talking about how in March we're going to talk about a different memoir every week and how excited we are because we're reading those right now. But we totally messed up, and I need to go back. I'll fix the description on our last podcast. We got the dates wrong. So if you want to read memoirs with us in March, our first one is going to be on March 12th, where we will be talking about Sorry Not Sorry by Naya Rivera and Yearbook by Seth Rogen. And we have the list of other books we're going to read that month in March, and it's going to go all the way to Sunday, April 2nd. So that gives you guys time to read because we would love if you interact with us and feel like you're in our little book group.
Yes, or listen. I've been listening to some of them,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a great way to fill the commute if you're not listening to us.
True.
Yes, especially if you have a long commute because of either traffic or distance. I feel like I'm accomplishing something when I'm listening to a book.
That makes sense. And you get that gratification when you finish it.
Yes.
I
Ugh,
I don't know if we talked last time about it, but you finished the main quest in Harry Potter Legacy.
I did.
What
I'm
did
already
you
on my
think?
second game. It's so much fun. It's even fun the second time because I know how to do the things now. So I'm able
Mm-hmm.
to do some of the puzzles I didn't quite know how to do before and kind of where things are on the map. And it's still so much fun. I'm having a blast.
Oh,
The
good.
final boss was very difficult for me because I couldn't figure out exactly what I needed to do, but I eventually did figure it out. Because fighting the final boss is very different than fighting all the other characters or all the
Mm.
other, villains or I don't know what you call them in games.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just so much fun. Oh,
I'm loving it. I don't think I'm even close to doing the main quest because I've just been lollygagging. But I finally unlocked beasts this morning before I went to work, and I almost went in late. I'm gonna be honest. I
oh,
almost was gonna tell my team that I was gonna be late, but I was responsible. But it
I
is
know.
so much fun.
I know. I was telling my husband that you play before work, and he was like, "See, I told you you can." And I said, "You know I can't because I would not go to work. I would, and he even said, like, yeah, I have wanted to not go to work so I can play video games. So it's just best if I play after work. And
Oh, yes.
on over the weekend, my husband took my son to a birthday party, so I had the house to myself and I played in my underwear, and it was just so much fun. I was like, I'm
That's the
living my
best.
best life right now.
Yes. Yes. After a long day, it feels good to wind down with Hogwarts Legacy. It's like an escape.
It is, and I love catching the beasts. I love when I have found like nifflers or floopers that are different color. I caught a green flooper and it is so cool looking. I caught this niffler that's like tan and brown.
I was hoping you get Nifflers. I haven't seen any yet.
They they're not the hardest to catch, but they are pretty hard to find.
Mm.
But yeah, I was really excited to catch the animals and I just run around and I catch all the ones I see so I can go and sell them to the beast keeper.
Yeah,
Like because buying stuff in the game is really expensive and
it is. And you do all this work and you open a chest and get like 7 gold.
I know I've had enemies drop pouches that only have like 2 gold in them. I'm like, really? So I have been playing on normal since I played on easy the first time. We talked about how hard it was. It is a lot harder on normal. I'm having
Mm-hmm.
trouble. like fighting people on normal because easy wasn't that easy, but nor
Mm-mm.
there is a large difference between normal and easy.
There is, because I made the mistake of starting on normal, and some of maybe like the third or fourth encounter where you have to fight those ice knights or whatever they're called, the
Yes,
ancient magic protectors. That's when I rage quit. I was so pissed because I just kept dying and it was so hard. But now that you've beat it, I think that's a good idea to do it on normal now.
yes, I do change it back to story mode to catch the beast because it's a lot harder to catch the beasts on normal. A lot harder. Like I wasn't catching any.
It is really nice that this game allows you to change the difficulty as you're playing. Like you don't have to start a whole new
It is
character.
very nice because I would definitely rage quit because my fingers, you know, when you're supposed to like mash buttons really fast,
Yeah.
I can't do that very fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's something in my brain or my thumb or I don't know. It's just I don't understand how people do it. I've seen people do it so fast. My brother can do it really fast.
Glad that you're still enjoying it even after beating the main quest, because I hope this is a game that we can keep playing forever like Sims.
Yes, and I was telling my husband I think that they could make, you know, DLC for it because you start as a fifth year, so they could make a sixth year.
Absolutely. And I think they will.
They
This
better.
game was so popular.
My my goal right now is to get 100% in everything. You know how there's like
Same.
meters that tell you
Mm-hmm.
the only thing I got 100% in was the room of requirement
Nice.
challenge, and I got 99 on the dueling. Um,
Wow.
I can't find the infamous foes. They're, I don't know where they are, and I can't find them. Like sometimes I stumble across them and beat them, but I don't know where to find them without spoiling it, which I don't want to spoil it. So,
Okay.
no, I was gonna say I didn't want to, like, I don't want to look up stuff, but
Oh, I do admit I've looked up a couple things.
I have
Uh,
two, but I don't want to ruin this. Like, if I'm really stuck on a puzzle, I will, but
mm-hmm.
I don't want to, not just to get 100%, I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
But
I hear ya. Well, good. Yeah, so last week we had a very big intentions to talk about 2005 to 2009, and we stopped at 2007, and it was still almost 2 hours.
I'm glad we did stop because we want to talk as much as we want to about the things we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like I don't want to cut ourselves short or edit ourselves
Totally.
significantly
Mm-hmm.
to fit
And
in a
we don't
time
want it to
frame.
feel like we're just reading off of a list, you know? Like we're having fun. We're two best friends hanging out, and we want our listeners to feel like you're hanging out with us too, not having to get through something.
Yes. So I think we should finish up with 2007 because there were a couple more things that popped up for us.
There were. We could not talk about 2007 without talking about Britney Spears, because this was the year she shaved her head.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
And was like fighting the paparazzi with an umbrella.
Yes, I think that's when I first started reading Perez Hilton.
Oh,
His
yeah.
website was pretty new and he covered it. And what I remember hearing at the time, because a couple years before, she had married Kevin Federline, who was like a backup dancer for her on a certain tour or something like that. They connected, and nobody really agreed with their marriage in the first place. They allegedly had chicken nuggets and like a backyard almost elopement, basically. No one thought they would last, and they didn't. And in 2007, when they were splitting up, the story going around was that he was trying to get custody and was going to have a court mandated drug test. So she shaved her head so they couldn't take a hair sample,
Yeah, because out of all the drug tests, drugs stay in your hair follicles the longest.
which Lily works in the medical field and she has to do this stuff sometimes. So, do you know
Yes.
how long?
It depends on the drug, um, but marijuana is the longest and it can stay in your hair for up to like 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And other like harder drugs, like with your urine, they don't stay as long, but it's significantly longer because drugs like cocaine and amphetamines, they only stay in your urine for a very short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some jobs or, court appointed things where they will take care because they can get a better sense of how long it's actually been since you've done it because that's what they're testing for is how long it's been since you've done it. So if you failed a
Mm-hmm.
drug test at one point, they will be able to see how much growth has happened and they can base that on time frames and determine if it's new, if it's old, if it's been longer than a certain amount of time. Sometimes my mind is blown by the things that lab work can figure out.
Yeah, especially nowadays. There's so
Oh,
many cold cases that are being solved now because of the testing technology we have.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was crazy
So,
seeing Britney Spears with a shaved head and how she just walked in and did it herself. Like it's laughable because it sounds so ridiculous, but it's also sad because it seemed like she was having a mental breakdown.
yeah. And I can understand why some people weren't on board with her marriage to Kevin Federline because it
Mm-hmm.
was like, because she was married before that for 55 hours.
Yeah, she's has a history of being impulsive in relationships. And
And,
now we know she was probably trying to escape her parents, right? And
mm-hmm.
have some sense of freedom. So now, as more mature adults, we can understand her a little bit better. But also, I think people were kind of right. They didn't last. And in some ways, like I look at Kevin Federline, and I do think he loves his sons, and they would say he's a good dad. And on the other hand, I think he's been leeching off Britney all these years and is kind of a loser.
He's always been kind of a loser, but did I
Hmm.
buy his one song, Papa Sal, on my Zune? Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You gave him your money.
Yes. I was like, I think that single only sold like less than 1,000 copies, and I was one of those people.
Wow.
Yes.
That is dedication.
Um,
I was listening to it on free for free on YouTube.
I think I did listen to it for a while on YouTube, but I like like funky music, like,
Yeah.
and it was just, I don't know. It was not good, but it was funny to
No.
me. Like, I want to see
I
some
could see
Papa
that.
Sal. So, yeah, but I
That's
do think
hilarious.
he is a loser too.
Yeah.
And their kids are going to be 18 soon, so
Hmm.
he's not going to be able to leech off Brittany for much longer. I think their oldest son is 16 and the one after that is 15 or 14.
I wouldn't be
So,
surprised if he's ghostwriting the book right now because he
but
knows that paycheck's running out.
then again, that's what her family has kind of done. Her sister did that too,
Yep.
which I'm all for telling your story, but also I don't have anybody in my life that would make me would make people buy it because they want the tea on somebody else. And I think that's wrong. Just kind of a money
Oh, like
grab.
people were buying Jamie's book because
Yeah.
she's Brittany's sister.
Yeah. Like, it wasn't her fans buying that book.
Mm,
I mean,
hmm.
maybe she was on like the Disney Channel, but not for very long. So I can't, I can say with pretty good certainty, most of the people that bought that book were not her fans. They were people that were interested in Britney.
Well, and actually, she was on Nickelodeon. Britney was the Disney girl.
Yes,
And it's like everybody knows Nickelodeon is the step down from Disney.
it is.
And have you heard that rumor, which it's probably totally a fake conspiracy theory, don't sue us, but that because the reason Jamie Lynn left was she got pregnant at 16. And some people think it was Dan Snyder, the producer of all those Nickelodeon shows and like iCarly, who got her pregnant.
I'm sure they can prove that, but he is I've heard a lot of terrible things about him.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a whole episode about him. There's plenty
Yeah.
to talk about. But I'm
Oh,
glad that the light is finally being shown on these creeps.
me too. And it's so sad that people like allowed it to happen because they were making them money.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what it boils down to is he
It
was
does.
producing big name shows at the time that were making the company lots of money. And
Mm-hmm.
then they try to say that, oh, a pregnant teenager isn't our brand, but you're gonna
Right.
let some guy be a creep?
Right.
Ugh.
And sadly, it's been happening a long time. I remember seeing this little YouTube documentary about Shirley Temple and how before she was a big star, I think she was 3 or 4 in this movie where she basically played a baby prostitute.
I did hear that. I can't remember where I heard that, but I did hear about that because it's so crazy that that was okay.
Yeah, I saw some of the scenes and like she's sucking like this. I can't remember if it was a bottle or straight from a cow's teat or something, like very vulgar looking scene. And then in another one, her like diaper was falling off and she had it safety pin, and it was creepy. I couldn't even finish it. And it's not illegal. It wasn't, CP, but it might as well have been. And the fact that that was totally acceptable is crazy. But it just goes to show how far back Hollywood corruption is. And yeah, the
Or
mistreatment of children actors.
yes, I heard that Shirley Temple said like if she misbehaved, they would make her sit on a block of ice.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like if she wasn't listening or not paying attention on set, like they would like lock her in a room and make her sit on a block of ice.
That's so sad.
Oh,
Yeah. Yep. And it does circle back to Brittany because so many of she started young too, because she was singing at 12 and 13 before Oops, I Did It Again or Baby One More Time. Mm,
yeah.
probably didn't really have a childhood.
No, and I think, that goes back to Britney Spears and her dad and him having that conservatorship for like 15 years. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it's because Britney Spears is very wealthy. And if
Totally.
he can be in charge of, her estate, he can pay for his own lawyer. He was paying for his own lawyer out of that money,
Mm-hmm.
like when they went to court. And I just, it makes me so
Yeah.
upset that the people that are supposed to protect their children are usually the ones that exploit them.
Mm-hmm. It is
Ugh,
disgusting. And yeah, all of this kind of really did start in 2007 with her shaving her head and them using that as a reason. Um, but look at her now. The Free Britney movement finally worked, and I hope
yeah.
she's in a better place.
I have not read some promising things recently
Me
that,
either.
which makes me sad, but at least she's able to make her own decisions. And I think
Mm-hmm.
if somebody needs help, they're more likely to get help if they're able to make that choice on their own instead of being
Mm-hmm.
forced to do it.
I agree. I feel like she has been having maybe some erratic behavior and impulsive choices lately, but it also makes total sense. She's finally free from something that's been torturing her so long, and it probably is PTSD symptoms emerging, and
Yeah.
she needs professional help for that. But it does make sense. And I do think things will get better. But that's if she gets help and if she's not on drugs.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that either.
Ugh, I don't either. It's so easy to speculate and it's so hard
Mm-hmm.
to pinpoint if that's
It is.
what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Mental illness, addiction is part of mental illness, and sometimes even if people aren't using, their behaviors can present like somebody that's actively using drugs, even if that's not
Mm-hmm.
the case. And especially if somebody has a history of using drugs in the past, a lot of people just go to assume that they are
Mm-hmm.
doing it again, unfortunately. So, and plus people want the drama, they want the gossip, they want the tea. And
Mm-hmm.
it's more, you know, I feel like people don't look at addiction like they do other mental illnesses,
Mm-hmm.
and it's easier to judge somebody that's an addict, which is not valid.
Yeah,
Addicts are not, you know, you can be predisposed to be an addict, but also trauma, life experiences, those can all lead to, needing, wanting the escape. I shouldn't say needing, there are healthy ways to deal with those traumas, but, finding an escape and getting lost in that. So,
absolutely.
ugh,
Yeah. So that was a big part. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention about 2007, because it is now such a big part of pop culture, but at one time it did not exist. 2007 brought us Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
oh, it's
Very
been that
first
long.
season. Yeah,
Wow. I didn't Time is a weird concept sometimes to me because I did
right?
not realize it had been that long.
Kendall and Kylie were babies, not literally babies, but they were in middle school and they
That is a,
looked like completely different humans than they do now.
I know. It's
I'll
so
make sure to post
crazy.
an old picture of Kylie next to her now.
Oh, that's so funny. I I can't believe it's been that long. I
Oh,
mean, I've seen clips of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I know the memes. I've never been that big on following Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I don't dislike the Kardashians or the Jenners. I buy their products if I like them, but I don't buy them because of them. I
yeah.
just buy them because they either look nice or I want to try it. Like the lip kits, I really did like them. I bought a Skims sweatshirt that was really soft. So it's not because I really enjoy the Kardashians. I just love trying what's new and what's trending.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also not gonna not buy something because I, I don't dislike them. So
Mm-hmm.
I just, I think it's, some people are like, I would never buy something the Kardashians put out. And I'm like, well, good for you.
I was a fan of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I watched it when it first came out, and probably I kept I kept up with them over the years because there were years in college where I didn't always have cable or streaming wasn't big yet. So I've seen a lot of the first few seasons and some of the later seasons and just a lot of clips in between. And I really liked them at first. I was going in cold, knowing nothing about their dad, knowing nothing really about Bruce Jenner or, um, God, who's their mom?
Chris.
Chris. Thank you. I'm like, it's K name or Chris Jenner. I didn't know much about them, but in the first, I just knew about. Kim's sex tape, which happened before this show and kind of grew her popularity and
Mhm.
probably led to them getting a show. But they were so endearing to me in the first few seasons. I thought they seemed like a loving family who was all about spending time with each other and like protecting each other and building their empire because they weren't as nearly as rich as they are now. That show made them famous and made them rich. But as the seasons went on, it's just seeing how fake some of them acted towards each other and how money hungry and yeah, they kind of fell out of grace with me, but
Yeah,
I
they can
still
be.
am interested.
Yeah, they can be very toxic towards each other,
Yeah.
and but it's entertaining. The
Mm-hmm.
sex tape came out in 2007 also.
Wow. Yeah,
Yes.
because I think Keeping Up with the Kardashians was November or it was the end of the year.
This was March of
Okay.
2007,
Wow.
called Kim K Superstar.
Oh. Well, and that's messed up too, because wasn't she making it like with Ray J because they were in love and it was supposed to be private and he released it after they broke up?
I I've heard different things, but I do think that is true. I do think that they made it for themselves
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think, I mean, you can leak something, but you can't publish something on DVD without somebody's consent.
Well,
Can you?
maybe now you can't because of these things. But I thought the whole argument back then was that since he had recorded it and it obviously was consensual at the time, he was considered the owner of it and released it
Oh,
without her permission. And then I think she was obviously upset. And so I don't know if she agreed to get a cut out of it. Like, well, it's already out there. I might as well make money off of it. I'm not exactly sure. And I don't know if she's ever explicitly said, but it's so fucked up now that you think about it. Cause I think she was only 19. And
but
I know at 19 I've sent scandalous pictures to my exes. And if ooh, I they better not. I dare them. I need to check my email,
coming
see if
for
I
you.
have any small dick pics. I saved just in case.
Oh, so this is what Wikipedia says, is that it was released by Vivid Entertainment. It was purchased from a third party for $1 million.
What the hell does that mean?
Uh, that Ray J gave it to somebody and or he
Or
sold it
was
to
it
somebody.
Chris?
That's what I was getting to. So it said Kardashians in February 2007, before its release, Kardashians sued Vivid Entertainment for invasion of privacy and for the profits from and ownership of the tape. She dropped the suit, settling for $5 million. But then in 2016, Ian Halpern alleged in his book Kardashian Dynasty that Kardashian and her mother, Kris Jenner, deliberately leaked the sex tape to Vivid Entertainment. According to him, a mutual friend of Kim and Paris Hilton had advised her that if she wanted to achieve fame, a sex tape would be the way to go. A representative from the Kardashian and Jenner denied Halpern's accusations that they leaked it themselves. So,
That did cross my mind since she was besties with Paris, and Paris's tape had come out.
yes, One Night in Paris.
Oh God, I'm ashamed to say I've seen that too.
I have seen it also. I have not seen the Kim Kardashian one. I have seen the Paris Hilton one. But I think it's,
Kim was better looking. Like she was very nice looking back then, and it's way more natural than now.
yeah, it's,
But Paris looks better now, in my opinion.
I think so too. And I like her real voice, not
Yes,
her
her
entertainment
baby
voice.
voice.
Yes. So I did just see that it was actually filmed, they went to Cabo, Kim Kardashian and Ray J went to Cabo for Kim's 23rd birthday, and that's where they filmed the tape.
Oh, maybe not, maybe Paris was the one that was 19.
Yes. And then in 2018, she claimed that she had been on ecstasy when the it was filmed.
Really?
Yes.
Ecstasy does make everything seem like a good idea.
Which that is actually one thing there's a couple things I've never done. I've never done ecstasy.
So, it's illegal, and I wouldn't say you should try it, but you should try it once in your life. If you
Y-
know it's safe. And
Yeah. And when I have tried other crazy things like that, similar hallucinogens, maybe, it has been in a very safe place where I felt
mm-hmm,
safe and I was around somebody that was not on anything. So
mm-hmm,
if anything were to go crazy, it would. So I'm glad I didn't do it when I was younger because it wouldn't have been safe. But if I ever do, it will be safe.
mm-hmm.
But don't they microdose with MDMA for some, like they're trying to figure out MDMA
Yeah.
microdosing?
They've been
Yeah.
experimenting with that, especially with soldiers who have PTSD and things like that. And ecstasy usually has like speed in it. So if someone were to try it, I would recommend MDMA because it's just like pure. Um, and it basically just dumps dopamine and like other feel good chemicals into your brain. Like it takes the ones you already have stored and dump it all at once. So you feel super happy. But a lot of people feel like they have these like cosmic awakenings where they feel more connected with the world or they realize really deep, important things about themselves. And I can definitely say that I experienced that as well, which is why I think if people are interested in it and there was a safe legal way to do it, I don't see anything wrong with it, but it's also not something you should do if you feel like you're prone to addiction easily, because some people do get addicted to it. And I don't think it's something you should even be doing every year because it's going to be the worst come down you've ever had. And it takes weeks for your brain to refill those supplies.
Yeah, that's kind of like ketamine. It,
Mm,
I mean, they use ketamine for severe trauma accidents,
mm-hmm.
and when you come off of it, they call it a K-hole for a reason. It's because your brain has no serotonin.
Oh, yeah,
And
that sounds very similar.
yes, and I also think that MDMA, ecstasy, it depletes your body of one of like the essential vitamins. I think vitamin C.
Oh,
Um, so that's also why you feel so bad.
interesting. Huh,
Yes.
very interesting. Well, yeah.
And Kim Kardashian.
Well, that's an interesting factoid because I had never heard that she claims to have been high on ecstasy. That's really interesting. It kind of
Yeah.
makes me want to go back and rewatch it, but also I feel bad doing that. Like even last week when we were reading Camilla and Prince Charles's phone chats, I felt guilty afterwards.
I know.
But also it was so freaking funny.
It was. And I think it's an invasion of privacy that somebody
Mm-hmm.
tapped their phones, but also,
No, I think I read they recorded it themselves, but someone did steal it and leak it,
oh, well,
which is
I guess,
kind of weirder to me that they chose to do that.
yeah, why would you? I don't know. I would never record myself having phone sex because I would not listen to that back.
No, I would want to die.
Me too. Because have you ever, like, like when you're watching porn or something, like, as soon as the moment's over, you're like, I'm depraved.
Yeah,
Like,
you're like, I'm so
what's
dirty.
going on? Yes.
Sometimes, sometimes me and my husband will be done having sex and he'll like want to talk about things we did. And I'm like, no, it's over. We don't talk about this now because I'm embarrassed.
Yes, or you'll say something in the heat of the moment and
Yes,
it gets brought up again and you're like, I didn't say that. That wasn't
exactly.
me.
Oh my God. Have you ever recorded yourself and seen what you looked like when you come?
Probably a long time ago, like when me and my husband were younger. I don't want to see that now because I'm fat and have a double chin.
Well, I did it. I'll be honest and candid right here. I did it in high school just by myself, just because I was curious what it looked like. And may I say, I do not recommend it. You don't want to know what you look like when you come. It's not cute. It's not. And this was like on a camcorder. I made sure I deleted that shit.
Yeah, I remember that camcorder. We used to make music videos.
Oh, but it was
Oh,
not pretty.
oh.
But anyway, thank you to Ryan Seacrest for bringing us Keeping Up with the Kardashians. The world will never be the same.
It won't. As much as some people hate it, like, get used to it.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
it
not
doesn't
going
matter.
anywhere. They're kind of like I don't want to say royalty, but it's the same level of consumption that like British monarchy gets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really
Oh,
is.
which brings us to 2008.
Yes, so in 2008, we were just talking about Britney Spears, but she did make a comeback with Womanizer.
Oh, I loved that. Was that from Circus?
Yes.
I love that album.
Was did If You Seek Amy, was that on there?
Yes.
I loved that song.
We weren't friends. We were like broken up during this time. And I remember listening to that album and thinking of you, like you would have loved it. And it turns out you did.
I did.
Oh, that was such a good album.
Also, Obama won the election in 2008.
Yes, that was a huge one. That made me so happy. I will openly admit he was the first president I got to vote for and our first African American president.
Oh,
And there are still people who think he wasn't born in the United States and then it was all a fraud. But
I know. I watched a conspiracy video on it one time and I was like, that's really a stretch.
hmm
Like, people just, they think that if they can find, you know, something bigger, that it will hide the fact that they're a bigot.
yeah.
And I'm like, no, I think you're just a bigot
Yep.
and you're trying to defend yourself.
hmm
Ugh,
What a huge part of history that you're on the wrong side of. And now we
yes.
just need a woman president and an Asian president and a Native American president, and hopefully that all will come.
I hope so too.
hmm
But yes, the 2008 election was the first time that both of us were allowed to vote, and I remember being so excited.
Yes, it was a big deal.
I remember going to register to vote very shortly after my 18th birthday,
Oh.
um, because the election was coming up the year after,
hmm
and it was,
No, that
oh,
year, right? No, no, you're right.
yeah. And I remember feeling so important, so powerful. And I think people should still feel that way when they vote because some people may try to say, like, your vote doesn't count for presidents, like the presidential election, but if you understand how the electoral college works, then you understand that it does.
hmm And there
So,
are times I feel that way. Like there was a one presidential election in particular where I didn't like either options, and I do feel like kind of a sheep sometimes who has no choice. But, there's also so many other important things that you get to vote for that are local, that affect you directly, and that you really have a difference in making.
Yes. That's very important because when you go to vote or you mail in your ballot, I like to go to the polls 'cause there are I can still do that. I know that in some states you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, you vote on your state leaders, your county leaders,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really important who's going to represent, you know, and pass the laws that need to be passed. And if you don't vote, then, like you said, there are sometimes not good options, but also on the smaller scale, that you can usually find somebody that aligns with your values.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't, be that person. At
Yeah.
least be a voice. We can run our mouths for free, at least for now.
Yeah. Oh, that is true. Oh, well, what else did you have for 2008?
I have quite a few pop culture things. So Breaking Bad came out in January of 2008. Did you watch that?
No, but my husband has, so I've seen some of it.
I I didn't watch it at first, but so many people were talking about it that I had to watch it, and it really was good television. I didn't end up watching it all the way to the end because it's really hard to keep my attention after the fourth season, but of any show.
Yeah,
But it was so good at first, and not to be too political, but the whole premise is this high school chemistry teacher has cancer and he can't afford his treatments. So he makes meth, and being a chemist, he makes awesome meth that sells really well and gets him pulled into this crazy drug life. But just the fact that he couldn't afford his cancer treatments seemed like such a larger conversation to be had,
yeah.
and that stuck with me. Great movies in 2008 as well. Iron Man was released, and it was the first film of the Marvel Universe.
That was even before there was a Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
It
I
was
mean, they
just,
already had stuff planned when they
yeah.
um had this one come out, but I loved that movie. That was kind of my whole phase d during college, and I actually saw Iron Man with two different guys, and I didn't tell the second one I had seen it already. It was so
Yeah,
good, and I love RDJ. And
I
Iron Man's my
know.
favorite superhero because I just love how he wasn't bit by a radioactive spider. He's not an alien. He was just a smart, very rich guy who decided to use his powers for good.
Well, it was so good. He's such a good character, RDJ as Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. It's just he's a man that's smart, and that's his superhero. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's his superpower. Um, I it's hard for me to think because when you said they had things planned, I knew that, but the first Avengers movie came out in 2012,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like the first Avengers movie came out 4 years ago. So,
Yeah, it's been a huge part of our lives now.
yes, it's been over 10 years, and I think if you watch them in have you ever seen the list of cinematic universe order on Disney Plus?
Mm-hmm.
So that one starts with Captain America, the first soldier or something,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the second Captain America movie is the
Mm-hmm.
first one in the order, but it was such a great way to start it.
Yeah, it was so good. And, the scenes where he's stuck in, was it Afghanistan or Iraq? I can't remember, but like
Yeah.
basically they want him to build weapons of mass destruction for their country. And like he was not a prisoner of war, but yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And it was just so intense and seeing how he got out of it, ugh, it just moved me. And I was never into superheroes or anything before. Like we grew up with the Batman movies that Tom Burton made, but I was never that into them. Hey guys, this is Clover editing it afterwards, and I am so embarrassed that I said Tom Burton. I know it's Tim Burton. It's been a long week. Forgive me. Love you.
I just liked them because of like the dark, but also the color. I don't know. It was like a visual thing for me, not a
Mm-hmm.
story thing.
Yeah,
Oh, so good.
so good. And speaking of Batman, it was no Iron Man, but Dark Knight came out in July of 2008
Oh,
after Heath
really?
Ledger had died.
Yes, Heath Ledger died on January 22nd of
Um,
2008. I think The Dark Knight is better than most Marvel movies.
The Dark Knight was really good. I saw that in theaters and cried because we've loved Heath Ledger since we were little girls.
Yes,
And
Two
it was
Things I Hate About
so
You.
just chilling. He did an awesome Joker. It might be controversial, but as you said, brave statement. But I think he was the best Joker.
I don't think that's controversial.
I think a lot of people liked what's the one you let me borrow? Who played that Joker?
Oh, Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes.
I see that as a, I don't know. I don't see that as the same character. I know it is technically, but it's not a Batman movie. It's a Joker movie.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't really compare those two.
Well, and I guess we'll
But
have to
he's,
see now with Robert Pattinson as the Batman, which I liked that movie. But it seems like they were leaving it open to make more and it will have Joker in it. So we'll have to see how this one's portrayed.
yeah. I did actually see that Robert Pattinson Batman. It was pretty good. I
I
like the
liked
guy
it.
that, the kid, the man, I don't know how old he is. He looks young, that plays the Riddler in that movie.
Hmm.
He's really good at that.
He was good. I liked that one too because I liked how it showed the beginning of Batman and all the things he was fucking up, you know?
Yes.
Because every other Batman movie, he's established, he's already a hero, you know? So it
The
was
thing
kind of
with
cool to see how he started and how he failed. And come on, we love Robert.
yes.
There was
The
no way
thing
I
with
wasn't going to enjoy myself.
no.
That outfit.
Yes. I was gonna say the thing with Batman movies is I feel they can be a little too long.
Mm-hmm.
But I do enjoy them
Mm-hmm.
a lot, so I I guess I can't complain, but I do. And I'm not gonna
You probably
apologize.
see Batman movies more than I do, since your
I've
hubby likes them.
yeah, I've seen all of them. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like Batman Begins. I think it's boring.
Which one's that? Does that have Jim
It's
Carrey?
it's the first Christian Bale one.
Oh, yeah,
It's
I
boring.
agree.
I'm not even gonna say it's controversial. Come at me. Um, but I did like The Dark Knight Rises a lot.
So good.
Yes. And another TV show that came out in 2008 was Sons of Anarchy,
Oh,
which I didn't watch it when it came out. I probably watched it after it was done, like most things. But I really enjoyed that show.
I've only seen the first two seasons, but I would like to go back and watch it all because
Yeah,
it was very good and it hooked me. I don't know why I stopped watching it. I was probably watching something else or I probably changed streaming services, but it was good.
Yes.
And so many people were obsessed with that show when it was out.
I know. I think they tried to do a spinoff that didn't really catch as much traction, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can redo that just because of the characters and,
Mm-hmm.
the backstory of who they are. It's just hard. I feel like a lot of spin-off TV shows don't do particularly well.
I was thinking that too. It's really hard to do a good spin-off.
Yes.
Oh man, so Sons of Anarchy, yeah, that really was very big television at the time and kind of just introduced another genre that was just like more raw, more like I want to say dramatic, but it was like dramatic in a way that attracted more male viewers.
Yeah, it was like gritty.
Yeah. I mean, and cute guys riding motorcycles, what's not to like?
I know, except I would never ride on a motorcycle. I can't be in the sun like that. Oh, my skin would fall off. It would burn to a crisp.
No, it would have to be a nice gray day and oh, never ride a motorcycle without being fully covered. I've
I know.
known people personally who got in motorcycle accidents and like down to the bone, you could see.
Yeah, it's so
Ugh,
scary.
disgusting. Man.
And
Well, this isn't a show that started, but I thought it was really interesting that in May of 2008, Seth MacFarlane made $100 million deal with Fox to keep Family Guy and American Dad running until 2012, which made him the highest paid television writer in the world.
wow.
Right?
I love Family Guy. I hate American Dad.
I have, I don't hate American Dad, but I don't go out of my way to watch it. I think it has some funny jokes, but Family Guy is far superior.
It is so funny.
And I love Seth MacFarlane. I think he's hot. I think he's smart. I think he's interesting. But I also think he's like kind of vain and a fat shamer and like has a lot of problematic stuff too. So I'm so torn.
I
But I'd
know.
still love to meet him
I think he would probably be nice if you met him in person. Like,
to my
I
face,
don't, yeah. I mean,
probably.
I don't think he would, have a second thought about anything about you, as wrong. But
No.
I think he makes jokes because they're shocking.
Oh, you think so? You think he's a nice guy? Maybe I'm wrong about him. I hope so because I love him. Yeah,
I
I
think
just
most
see him
people
as
just,
such a television genius.
I think most people just say things for shock value. I don't know if a lot of people
I don't honestly, I feel like I don't.
really.
No.
I don't know. Maybe I say things for shock value, so I think other people do.
Some people I know definitely do.
Yeah, and I do like the Seth MacFarlane. I know he did some movies, but I like that he has that show out now, The Orville,
Mm-hmm.
where he's actually acting in it, not just the
Mm-hmm.
voice. I think
Yeah.
that's and it's really funny.
I need to watch that.
I mean, it is a ripoff of Star Trek, but it's
Mm-hmm.
funny. Like I
Well,
can,
he's such a genuine Trek fan. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, we would get along. We could just talk about Star Trek, and I would want to. He loves old music, so I'd want to karaoke Frank Sinatra with him. You
Oh,
know, it's not like I've thought about this before or anything, but
not once.
so
Oh,
yeah, good for him. He got rich in 2008.
yes, he did. Well, you love Seth MacFarlane. One of the people I love started in 2008 in the show. Well, did not start, but got big to me in the show True Blood. Alexander Skarsgård. True Blood started in 2008.
Did it start in 2008? That's crazy. I
I
think I
know.
was a couple years behind because the show wasn't done when I started watching it, but I was hooked from the first minute.
Yes. It's so good. I loved probably up until season 4. 5 and 6 were not my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I also read all the books, and they are very, very different. Besides, the first season is like the first book of the Suki Stackhouse books, but after that, it's very loosely based off the
Mm-hmm.
Suki Stackhouse books. But I really enjoyed the show too, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I got it from as a gift from my husband. He bought it for me for my birthday that year. Um,
Aw.
and so I actually watched. I didn't watch it in 2008. I watched it starting after the first season came out on DVD.
Mm-hmm.
So that was still pretty early, but I
Yeah.
remember me and my husband went on a trip to the Mall of America 2010-ish, and I actually got like a 4 pack of True Blood like
That's
drink.
awesome.
Yeah, I still have them. They're like kind of like evaporated and like gross, but I never drank them. Um,
I remember seeing that on Think Geek back when that website still existed, and I wanted them, but I never got them.
yes, I got
So
them. I think
cool.
at like Hot Topic or a store in the mall like that, and it was just I was like I have to have it. I still have them.
Yes. True Blood was so cool because the whole premise was what if vampires really existed? And what if they didn't have to drink blood to survive and could come out into the open? And I just thought it was very realistic how society dealt with that. Like, what were the religious people called? Children of the Sun? Something
Yeah.
like that. There would totally be groups like that. And there would totally be humans wanting to fuck vampires, raising my hand.
Yes.
Once like the fairies and stuff started coming into it, it got kind of weird in my opinion, but I
Yeah.
loved that
And
show.
I think that was like after I think at the I think that started in like season 4 or 5, and
I
that's when
think
I kind of
so.
fell off. But the first couple seasons were so good, and
Yes.
like you
And I
said,
never really liked Will. And he's an even bigger jerk in the books. They made him more likable in the show.
yeah.
But
But I
yes,
did like how the
Alexander.
show Alexander Skarsgård, yes. I do like how in the show they showed more of Eric's backstory that they didn't
Mm-hmm.
with his maker, that they didn't show
Oh,
in that they didn't portray in the books, and I really liked that. And that actor was
Godric.
super hot. Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, Godric, I will save you. Don't step into the sun.
I know. But could you imagine having to be alive for like 4,000 years?
I would do exactly the same thing he did. Like his time was done and he went out on his terms. I did love that because I would do the same thing. But I just can't forgive Suki for not choosing Eric.
No, she's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think
Oh.
it's cool in real life that they got married. Anna Paquin married Stephen, can't remember his name, Bill from the
Yeah.
show.
Oh, Bill. Yeah, I was calling
Yeah,
him Will. Yeah. Yeah, that is sweet. I do think it's
yeah.
cute when that happens.
I follow them both on Instagram. I don't know why I can't remember his name, but
Oh,
I don't. But
that's
uh,
okay.
yes.
This was kind of a crazy one in I don't mean crazy like derogatory, but just very memorable. Do you remember Thomas Beatty, the world's first pregnant man?
No.
So Thomas was or is a transgender man. Um, so had transitioned, had hormones, had top surgery, so he looked like a man, like Miss Swan. Sorry, is that racist? Mad TV reference.
I love Mad TV.
And his wife couldn't conceive. So Thomas still had a working uterus and got pregnant. And I remember it being all over the news at the time. This was years before Caitlyn Jenner, and there just wasn't a lot of transgender people in the media, and it wasn't talked about as much as it is today. So this was huge that this man was pregnant and had their daughter. and went on to have another child, I believe, too. And I think it was really sweet. But what I remember most is just kind of the disgusting things people would say about it and how they just couldn't understand or couldn't open their minds to wrap around it. Um, but yeah, that was big. And, good for him. He milked it and I think made a lot of money off of being on covers of magazines and stuff.
Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
I I just have a problem with people who are too small-minded. Why do they even have to comment on it? Like
Mm-hmm.
why don't people like I do believe standing up for what's right. Like if I see somebody being harassed in the street, I'm not going to let that happen, but also
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to comment on everything because not all of my opinions matter to everyone. And I know that, and other people seem to think that their opinions should matter to everyone.
Yes. When it really doesn't affect you, even if that person's your neighbor or someone you work with, you have to treat them with respect because everyone deserves that if they're minding their own business and not spreading hate. But just let it go. Or, bitch about it with your friends and family. You're allowed to say what you want in your own home, but you don't need to spread that around
Yeah,
and be that kind of person.
don't get on Twitter or Facebook and just go on a rant. Like
Mm-hmm.
why?
Yeah. What are
It's
you adding to the world?
nothing because you're not going to change it anything except make people like me think that you're a bigot.
Mm-hmm. And you
And that's
might stir up other bigots, and then congratulations, you're adding more hate to the world.
uh,
Is that what you want to die and be remembered for? Is that what you want your kids and your grandkids to look at you for?
that's so
Ugh.
crazy. But
But yeah, so that
I
was huge.
applaud him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially because that is very real for a lot of couples not being able to conceive, and the fact that
Mm-hmm.
he still was able to and was willing to,
Yes.
that is big.
That's such a good point because it must have been so mentally hard for him to have that body dysmorphia. Like, my body is doing what it genetically was made to do, even though I'm not a woman. Like, I'm sure that was just a big mind fuck, but
Yes,
they got their children out of it, which is beautiful.
that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me not want to bring up the next thing I was going to,
Go
but
ahead.
the last movie I was going to bring up that came out in 2008 was The Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
Oh,
Have you seen that?
I have not. I remember hearing about it on Oprah, but then hearing about how like that didn't actually happen to him. He stole the story from someone else. And I'm like, I have the book. I've never read it. I'm like, what's the point?
Yeah,
Can you
I,
remind me what it is? I
it's,
know it
I
was a
don't,
boy in the Holocaust, right?
yeah, and so, um, there's this German boy. He lives at this, in a very nice house, um, in the country with his family, and it turns out his dad is the commander of a concentration camp, and he's playing ball one day and his ball rolls down to where the fence is and he meets another little boy, and they kind of start a friendship. He doesn't understand why the boy is in the camp, and the other boy just wants somebody to play with because he's
Mm.
in a concentration camp. And I don't know if you want me to spoil the ending for
No, go
you,
ahead.
but in the end he ends up going on the other side to play, and then they start like rounding them up for the gas chambers, and this commandant's son gets gassed with the other little boy.
Wow.
I think it actually might not even be a real true story.
It it doesn't sound real.
I don't think it is, because when you said it was like a story stolen from somebody else, I'm like, I don't think, I do believe that it was fiction, which then which I didn't know at the time when I saw it, which kind of raises the question like, is that ethical when there are so many stories we haven't heard about that time and somebody is writing about something that didn't happen, but also it's, creative freedom to do what you want when you write. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a good movie, but it was sad.
Yeah.
I've never watched it again. It was one of those movies.
Hmm. Well, yeah, and it was huge. It sure was.
Yes, it was. And but I did see that there's like a sequel to that book, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. It is so fucking expensive.
Really?
Yeah, I saw it on Amazon. It's like $40.
Oh,
I'm not
that's
paying that.
me. Is it still in print or is it because it's out of print and people are just trying to make a buck?
I will double check.
Trying to see if this guy ever did make it seem like it was a true story. Has been criticized by scholars and historians of the Holocaust, as well as memorial organization. Negative reviews have noted the book's historical inconsistencies and the potential damage it could cause to people's Holocaust education. So maybe that's what I'm remembering, that people were saying so much of it just isn't true that it might skew people's thoughts of what really happened, and that true stories, like you were saying, should be prioritized because there are so many true things that happen. I guess I'm on the fence about that.
I know, like I said, there are the creative freedoms to write whatever you want, but also there are so many stories that are untold or that are more important because they're true.
Hmm. Because we're so into World War II and particularly the Holocaust. I've wanted to write a historical fiction Holocaust book before, but yeah, I guess if you do that, you kind of do have a duty to stick to really know the history and be accurate about it. Like you could make up characters based on things that probably did happen. Like
Yeah.
what's that? We read The Tattooist of Auschwitz, which was really cool because it was based on a true couple who met during the Holocaust. But then the author wrote, and she wrote that with permission from the um, family of that couple. But then she wrote a sequel. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we read it. I can't remember the name
Mm-hmm.
of it.
It's like Chica, or not Chica, Sika's Tale or something like that. I'll make
Yes.
sure I look it up when we're editing and put a picture of it. But I remember that getting criticism because people were kind of grossed out that there was love story mixed with the Holocaust. But I'm like, but it really did happen.
Yeah. And the second one, I feel like that one was more fiction
It
than,
was.
and that I had a problem with that because it was based on a true person, but she
Mm-hmm.
didn't know the real story, which she kind of said in the afterword or
Right.
the forward. I can't remember which part of it, but she did say like this is made up, like this was based on a real person, but I don't know what happened to her.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know too much more for 2008, but I did want to bring up that it was the year of the Beijing Summer Olympics. And I just got to give props to Michael Phelps because he won 8 gold medals that year and broke the record.
Yes, and that was after, the controversy of him being on a magazine or a tabloid of him smoking marijuana in a country where it was legal, but people were so upset about it and he got endorsements pulled
Was
and
that?
yeah, that was like the year or two before the Olympics, I think. And
Mm,
he was still able to go to the Olympics after, major endorsements had been pulled and still come out on top.
it's so funny to look back, 10, 15 years ago at how marijuana was looked at, and now it's legal in so many states, and so many people use it recreationally.
I know. So good for him. And he, he has the most Olympic gold medals come like of any summer or winter Olympics uh like since like the ancient times.
He's amazing to see. I'm not even that into watching sports or watching Olympics, but I loved to see him go.
I
He's
do
like,
like the Olympics, but I don't like to watch many sports either. Ugh.
oh, I lied. I do have one more just because it makes me so happy that in October, OJ Simpson was found guilty of kidnapping and armed robbery because he claims this guy or guys stole some of his memorabilia from being in the NFL and he was trying to get it back. But he went to prison, and a lot of people think it was his delayed karma for killing Nicole. And I agree with that.
I heard that he actually had sold that memorabilia and then tried to steal it back.
That wouldn't surprise me because, as we talked about in our 90s episode, he wasn't allowed to make any more money besides his NFL pension because he owed Nicole and Ron Goldman's family because they won a civil case that he murdered them.
Oh,
So it seems like just a sleazy thing he would do to try to make money under the table.
yeah. Oh, well, I think that takes us to 2009.
Mm-hmm.
I have to bring it up right off the bat. RuPaul's Drag Race
I
premiered
knew
in
it.
2009.
Yes, praise RuPaul.
Oh, mother. Yes.
Yes,
Uh, I
you're
also
not
read,
worthy.
oh, no. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I'm like, what's the point? I'm never gonna be beautiful like RuPaul.
Hmm. But you're beautiful like you. Nobody's beautiful like RuPaul.
No, not even other drag queens.
Mm-mm.
Like, there are some amazing drag queens, but that's why it's RuPaul's Drag Race. It's not anybody else's Drag Race.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Queen.
and also, I did read that RuPaul's Drag Race has won 12 Primetime Emmys, and that makes him have the most Emmys of any African American person.
Really?
Yes.
Why don't we hear that more?
I don't know.
Wow, that's amazing. I do remember watching the first season when it came out, and I didn't have cable at the time. So sorry, Rue, but I illegally downloaded that shit every week. I would look for the new episode because it was so good, and nothing like that had ever been on television before.
No, and BB Zahara Benet was the winner.
Oh,
She was also on All Stars 3, which
supposed to
was
pick.
really fun. Yes. An amazing drag performer, and I feel like RuPaul's Drag Race has changed my life. I
Mm-hmm,
watch it all the time. I am so immersed in the culture that is drag. I
mm-hmm,
want to learn all I can about it. I can't even pick a favorite like drag queen that has been
mm-mm.
on the show because I love so many different queens for what they have to offer, whether it's, a fashion queen, a comedy queen. I just can't pick. There's so many good ones, and I love the talent. And, I have heard Trixie Mattel say that every time they get in drag, it's a political statement because people are telling them that they shouldn't, or,
Mm-hmm.
they, and I love that it's not easy because I was listening to a podcast. I like to listen to Ebony and Irony with Monet Exchange and Lady Bunny,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they have other, guests on their podcast, but one guest was saying that, back when early when Pride started, even the LGBT community didn't wasn't really that accepting of drag queens because they thought it was a mockery of what they
Yes.
were trying to do. And
Yes.
so all these performers have continued and, make amazing content. And I just love it.
I agree. It gave me a lot of confidence watching it. Their confidence was just infectious, and Rue's like self-love and message of loving yourself was so infectious. And then just seeing queer people represented as someone who at the time was discovering I was queer myself, it did change my life. And that might sound dramatic to people who don't feel that way or don't have that connection with it, but you feel that way about something else, you know? We all have these things that make us feel seen and connected, and RuPaul's Drag Race is definitely one for us.
And I love how much it's grown. It's in so many countries now. They have like Drag Race Down Under, Drag Race UK.
Mm-hmm.
There's, Queen of the Universe, which is like basically America's Got Talent for drag queens. And there's been so many spin-offs, and I think it's just, reaching so many more people now. Even I was watching a couple old seasons. I was watching season 10. The winner was Aquaria, and she was saying she knew she wanted to be a drag queen because she saw RuPaul's Drag Race when she was 12. And
That's
I just think,
crazy.
and it's, letting, the youth, the children know that it's okay and encouraging them to be who they are.
Mm-hmm. I know the bigots are so afraid they're going to change our children. They're trying to indoctrinate them and turn them into drag queens or queers. It's like, no. Someone who doesn't have that within them is not going to watch RuPaul and start doing drag. It's just people who already have that within them or feel called to that art are going to do it.
Yes,
Like,
and
how many people watch musicals or plays and never act in their life? Crazy.
I, I know, and I saw like a meme or a post on Twitter or Facebook or something, and it was like statistically, your child is more likely to be abused at church than by a drag queen.
Oh, yeah, it's
And
true.
I don't know why people like to forget that.
Mhm. Yeah, we could talk about that a long time, but
I know.
ugh,
Like I've told you before, sometimes I think there's something wrong with me because I don't understand how other people can think the way they think.
no, there's nothing wrong with you.
I know. I think it's just because I try to see the good in everyone,
Yeah.
and then when I don't, then I'm like, my all doors are closed. It's sealed. I can't see anything but the bad.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, it's not great to live in that extreme, but
Oh, but I'm sure it's a survival mechanism too. Life has taught you when you see someone's true colors, believe
and
them.
I'm learning, yeah, to be more in a gray area.
Yeah.
Um, but also I don't feel the need to try to understand when people are being hateful.
No. And I agree because I do think there's good in everyone, but sometimes that good isn't enough to make me overlook the bad. And there are just some positions or opinions that I will never ever agree with and will not be able to allow people like that in my life. Or and maybe they're in my life because I don't have a choice in some senses. Like it might be a coworker that I have to work with, or like someone in your extended family who you didn't get to choose to have in your family. And in those cases we have to be tolerant and um just mind our business, but they'll never be our besties.
No. But I think that's a really good way to look at things.
So I was today years old when because this song came out in 2009. Blame it on the alcohol. You know that song, right?
Yeah,
I didn't know that was Jamie Foxx.
I didn't either.
That's who sings it.
Really?
Yes. Blame it on the juice. Got you feeling loose. I don't know how many times I've danced to that song or listened to it. I never knew it was Jamie Foxx.
I didn't either.
Oh, it just makes him even cooler in my book.
I love that. When you started singing that, I started thinking of when they sang it on Glee, which also came out in 2009.
Yes! What a good year. I loved Glee.
Me too.
Ah, and it makes me so sad that we had just graduated high school because I feel like Glee made Glee clubs popular in school and we just missed it
I
because we
know.
totally would have joined.
I will be honest, I did not watch Glee when it came out. I was
Mm,
doing other things.
that's true. You're busy.
Um, but I love it now, and I think that's all that matters. I had binged it on Netflix one day. I don't know why I started watching it, but I loved it. It was my comfort show for a while.
Oh.
I love the soundtracks, which luckily now I have Apple Music, not sponsored. Um, because there was a time when I was like contemplating buying the Glee covers, and it was a lot of money.
Well, they were good and it brought back so much old music and made it popular again. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think Journey was on the charts again.
Who?
Journey,
Yeah, yep. Fleetwood
and
Mac.
yes,
Yeah, lots of older songs made a lot more money because of Glee. And it was a perfect mix of real life issues and just joy and funniness and they just did it so well. And Ryan Murphy is such a great writer and went on to make American Horror Story, which I also love. But it really
yes,
got his foot in the door, and um, him being LGBTQ himself, he just had a cast that was more diverse and just more representative. And I do think going back, they should get an actual actor who's actually in a wheelchair.
yeah,
But I
I
think they know that now that they fucked
I think
up
so. I know because I know Ryan Murphy had made another big show before Glee, but I think
that.
he created Nip Tuck.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. That was
but
big, but I never watched it.
I didn't either, but my husband really liked it. But
Okay.
I after Glee and then it really got going, he created
Well,
American
and
Horror
Glee was on
Story.
Fox, so it was more accessible to people too.
Yes, that is very true. Because Nip Tuck was HBO or Showtime,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I mean, we never really had I mean, growing
No,
up, we definitely didn't have them, but even as a, like, you know,
young
newly
adults,
married,
no.
yeah, did not have
No.
them. So,
Good point.
yes.
Yeah, Glee was so good. And I do think we need to make an episode about like the Glee conspiracy theories and like behind the scenes stuff, but I can just put all that aside and enjoy it for what it is and the
Yeah, me
characters.
too. Me too. It was so, it started like a movement because
Mm-hmm.
after Glee, movies like Pitch Perfect came out.
Yeah.
Um, it's just, it was so good. And I was gonna bring up, I did not watch Glee at the time, but I did watch the Glee Project when it was on TV, which was like a reality or a competition show where people were trying to get on Glee. And I
Mm-hmm.
loved that. I don't know why I didn't watch Glee and I watched that, but
That's
I'm a
hilarious.
I'm a huge contradiction. There's like lots of things kind of like that I do, but I kind of like that about myself. That I can be like, oh yeah, I've never watched a show, but I'm gonna watch this reality show about this show.
It reminds me of last week when you brought up High School Musical, the show, the experience, or something.
Yeah, High School Musical, the series, or something. Or
Yeah,
it's High School Musical, the series, or I can't
I can't
remember.
remember. It's in our last pod.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
in August of 2009, a little over a year after Iron Man came out, Disney bought Marvel for $4.24 billion.
wow.
That was a lot of money in 2009. And I remember so many of my friends who had gotten really into Iron Man and were excited for the Marvel universe were really afraid Disney was going to fuck everything up.
But
And
I
I
think
do
it
think they've overdone it.
now they have. The first Avengers, I think that they did a really good job
Oh,
with.
first Avengers, amazing.
I think that it's just been going on too long now.
Yeah.
Like with anything that goes on for over 10 years, it's just too much.
Well, and they're trying to make that money back. There's just too many shows. I like the movies, all the Marvel movies I've seen. I think I liked most of them. There were a couple Thor ones I didn't love, but it's just the TV shows I'm not as interested in, or I just don't have the time to consume them.
Yeah. And they're not, my husband has watched quite a few of them. The only one he really liked was WandaVision. The other ones, he was just like, they're not very good.
That's good to know. I was wondering if WandaVision was worth it. And I mean, Kat Dennings is in it, so.
Sold right there.
You just need
Oh.
Seth MacFarlane in a Marvel movie.
Oh gosh. Oh,
Another movie that came out in 2009, which a lot of people didn't like, but I loved it. This J.J. Abrams Star Trek film.
never seen it.
Oh, I liked it.
Is that the
And
one with,
I freaking loved who played Sylar in Heroes. What's I can't remember the
I know
actor's name.
exactly who you're talking about.
We'll post his
His,
picture.
he plays Spock.
He plays Spock and he did such a good job.
His name is Zachary Quinto.
Thank you.
Yes, I loved Heroes. Um, I have seen parts of the movie, but you know me, it's hard for me to sit down all the time and just pay attention.
Hmm.
Um,
And I was not a Trekkie at the time.
yeah, I
Um,
wasn't either.
so maybe I was able to go into it with less expectations than people who had been Trekkies for years and were really excited for this movie. But I liked it.
Yes, I have felt that way about things that I like that other people don't, and I'm like, well, I'm not that invested in the books or the spin-off or the original. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Michael Jackson died on June 25th, 2009.
Oh, June 25th. Wow.
Yes,
Yeah, that was big.
it
That
was
was
very
very
big
big.
considering the way he died and
Mm-hmm.
everything afterwards, and it's just very sad. I think he was very troubled. He had a very horrific childhood,
Mm-hmm.
um, abuse at the hands of his father, and being
Mm-hmm.
in the spotlight, and
Kind of being
I
used as a tool at such a young age.
especially being the most talented one.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even controversial. That's a fact.
Yeah, it
No
is.
one remembers anything Tito ever did.
Mm-hmm.
But so I wanted to bring that up because I do really enjoy Michael Jackson's music,
Mm-hmm.
and I have for a really long time.
Yeah, we grew up with he was a part of our lives from the moment we were born, because he
Yeah.
was doing music way before we were born. And I do think he abused children. I believe the victims who have come out, specifically the two from was it Escaping Neverland documentary? I can't remember what it's called, but I can separate the two.
Yeah. It's we've talked about it before, and they call it parasocial relationships or something, and I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. And I think
Yeah.
since I was never really invested in Michael Jackson that much as a person
Mm-hmm.
and his career. I just enjoyed the music,
Yep.
but it's really easy.
Mm-hmm. Because I do love roll me like the river Jordan. I
I
remember having to sing that in elementary school in our music class.
no shake, no
No
shake
shake,
your
no booty.
booty. Yeah,
Because we
our
would
music
always
teacher.
get this same substitute teacher. I think he was Vietnamese and he had a strong accent and he would always make us sing this song. And we were supposed to wave our hands side to side, but we were like in second grade. So we would move our whole bodies and he would always say, no shake, no booty.
Yes. Oh, my
Good time.
favorite Michael Jackson song is Man in the Mirror.
Oh, I had to sing that in high school choir. That's
I
a good
know.
one.
Yes. I remember
That
you
is a good one.
practicing, and I think that's why I got really big into it, because you were listening to it all the time.
Oh, I love it.
Not listening to it, but I heard you singing it, and I was like, I'm gonna listen to this. Oh,
Um, June 28th, I thought this was hilarious. Stephen Hawking threw a party for time travelers and he sent out the invitations after the party occurred. I
oh,
just
that's
love that he
so
had a
funny.
sense of humor
I do. I love that too. That's so funny.
because I mean, he was on Big Bang Theory and they made fun
Yes,
of him on that show so much.
I know.
But it's just cool that someone so smart was also very funny, and that's something I would do if I thought of it.
Another hilarious thing that happened in 2009, The Hangover came out.
Oh, was that 2009?
Yeah,
I love that movie.
me too. I like the first and second. The second one, I like
Yeah,
the
the second
third.
one's a little problematic,
Yeah, I like
but
the
the third
third
one's
one though.
funny.
Yeah, I was trying to remember if it which one ever they went to Thailand. Um, that one's problematic, but the third one is funny.
Oh, and the first one was just such an instant classic.
It was Zach Galifianakis was so funny.
Yes, that was the first thing I saw him in.
Me too. And then he was in some other movies, but Between Two Ferns,
I love
hilarious.
Between Two Ferns. It always
Me
makes me
too.
laugh.
Oh,
He just has that deadpan comedy so perfectly.
oh, and that's so hard to do, I feel like.
Oh yeah, I
Ugh,
bet. And it's also amazing we're like on a here goes a Between Two Ferns tangent because I don't know when that started. But he's had some incredible guests on that show too. Obama was on that one. He was still president, I think.
yeah,
That's huge. Because
that is very huge.
it wasn't
Oh,
even a real show. It was an internet I mean, it is real in nowadays, but that was big back then too to do a entirely internet-based show.
yeah, people didn't do that.
No, podcasts weren't big.
And I feel like Hollywood and, you know, actors kind of look down on internet created shows.
Yeah.
A
Yep, it
lot of
was
people did.
revolutionary.
They were like, "Oh, it's not on TV. It can't be that good."
Mm-hmm.
And now, like Netflix and Hulu, they make their own originals. Amazon
Yes,
makes
they
their own
do.
originals. And at first, they weren't very good, but now they're big budget, high actors.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that that was so cool that it was, you know, original at the time between two ferns.
I agree. Very cool. And yeah, Hangover is so good. I can watch that again and again and still laugh.
It is so funny. Love it.
This is not funny, but I want to say it because I feel like people have forgotten about it. February of 2009 was when Rihanna was assaulted by Chris Brown. And I remember seeing the pictures of her with her black eye and like her bloody fat lip. The story went that they were driving, I think, home together and got into a fight while they were in the car. And Rihanna was, I think she was asking him to stop, like, let her out, and he wouldn't. So she grabbed the keys while the car was still running and threw them out the window, and he beat the shit out of her. And I just want to say, fuck you, Chris Brown. I haven't forgotten.
No, and I feel like Chris Brown was really big when we were in middle school and
Mm-hmm.
ever like early high school and everyone loved him. That's still not some I'm not able to look past that.
Nope.
And ugh,
And
I
it's
don't care.
hard because there are some songs that will come on now and I like them. And I see that Chris Brown, it's either Chris Brown or he's featured in it. And I'll still like the song, but still, fuck you, Chris Brown. I'll never buy them.
No. And I don't care if he got mad that she took the key. I don't care what she did.
No.
Nobody deserves that
Mm-mm.
ever because I think he was like trying to defend himself in some way.
Yeah.
There's no defense for that.
No, you get out and leave. And then you can call the cops. If she really is attacking you, then that's wrong too. And call the cops.
Yeah, I was gonna say nobody should be if you are in I mean nobody should attack anybody, but especially if you are in a relationship with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
like a man should not hit a woman either because she thinks she can because he's not supposed to hit her back. That's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing her face and all swollen and it has
Yeah.
to be humiliating one that the person you're with
Mm-hmm.
did that to you and two that everyone knows.
I know. I'm sure it was like a double-edged sword because, like you said, it was probably so embarrassing and shameful. And on the other hand, I'm kind of glad that it came out because I think it kept them apart. I think it gave her the push because I think they probably did go back and forth a little bit after that.
Mhm.
Um, but then she started making music like that duet with Eminem. So many of the lyrics just made me think of like leaving a toxic relationship, which I can relate to. And it is hard. It's not black and white. And you can love people who are wrong for you.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad that she's in a happy place now and had her baby and she's pregnant again. And I just
Ooh.
hope that she's healed.
And I think ASAP Rocky is so
Mm-hmm.
attractive. So attractive. And I love his music too. Way better than Chris Brown.
Well, good.
Oh,
You have
he
anything
was
else for 2009?
um just the show Tosh.0 came out. I loved that show. It was hilarious. I think it was the
Oh,
first like not the first because there was America's Funniest Home Videos, but it was the first one centered for adults.
yes. I didn't know that was 2009.
I know.
That made a
Loved
lot of people
Tosh.0.
big too.
Yeah. I still like say that he had this one guy on there and his name was like Froggy Fresh and sometimes I still say Froggy Fresh 2012 to my husband. Um but Risque Smell Yo Dick, that was a big one. Hide Your Kids, Hide Your Wife was on there.
Oh God, that's my favorite.
So there was yeah, a lot of people got big and it was just so funny.
And what a fun job that must have been to have.
I know.
To just show people funny shit off the internet.
I know. I mean, Rob Dyrdek's still doing it.
True.
But I love ridiculousness too. I love shows that you don't have to pay a super close attention to.
Yes.
That you can just have on and listen to and, look up and catch something funny and go about your day. I like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Oh man. Well, that was a good start to the new millennium.
It was the new millennium brought so much. I'm so happy that we got to experience it and we experienced it together because like
Mm-hmm.
you said, we were on a breakup at the end of the 2000s and or the end of the early 2000s, and I looking at some of this stuff, it made me think of that and how much time we lost apart, but also we were able to grow as people, and I definitely think our friendship would not be as strong as it is if we didn't have that time to grow and
I
heal from
agree.
childhood trauma. And I love you. I'm so glad you're in my life. I tell people all the time you're my soulmate. I'm like, she's my best
Aw.
friend's soulmate because I honestly feel that. And because we have a connection, you know how I'm feeling. We text each other the same thing sometime at the same time.
Yep, I agree. We are soul sisters, and I think what's meant to be will always find a way. And I think our friendship would have ended in 10 different ways. Like if we would have stopped prevented one way from happening, I think it was inevitable because I agree. I think we were meant to be apart, to grow and come back together stronger, and we fucking did, and we're not going anywhere now.
No,
So buckle
I
up, bitches.
couldn't imagine my life without you
Me
anymore.
either. I love you.
Because because I lived so long without you, I'm like I can't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep. Nothing's worth it.
no, and like we said we had to learn things without each other, but I think that made us stronger as people and it makes us stronger friends.
I think so too.
Oh,
And we did want to, I think that's a good segue to end it on a fun note. And we wanted to do a 2000s themed Would You Rather.
yes. So, start me off. What's the first one?
All right. Would you rather have to use cucumber melon scented soap and lotion every day or wear Ed Hardy clothes every day?
Cucumber melon. I loved that.
It was delicious. And they still make it, but it's not the same. I don't know what cancer causing chemical they took out of it, but it's not the same.
I don't know either. It isn't the same. It's not as
Crisp,
yes, it's
fresh.
more light. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not as it was so good.
It was. And I thought Ed Hardy clothes were so cool at the time, but I'm glad I couldn't wear those every day. I'm glad I
I
never
know.
really had them.
I know.
Those pictures don't exist.
Uh, no, they don't. I don't even think I had any knockoff Ed Hardy.
No, the only Ed Hardy stuff I've ever bought is perfume and lotion because there are some that smell good, but
Yeah.
I'm ghetto, so maybe it just smells good to me.
I wear One Direction perfume sometimes. It's okay.
They make good perfume too. There's
I
so
know.
much good celebrity perfume.
I know. Really almost bought Curious by Britney Spears.
Oh, we should.
Would you rather have Edward's ability to read minds from Twilight or have Tony Stark's super suit from Iron Man?
Oh, definitely super suit. Because being able to read people's minds would be a nightmare for me because I'm so fucking nosy. I would want to know everything they're thinking about me, but then it would probably crush my self-esteem.
I know. Or if I could turn it off and be able to read somebody's mind when I like ask them a question
True.
directly and not just like read it all the time.
Yeah. And at least with Iron Man's suit, all I really want in life is to be able to fly. And that would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
Would you rather go to prom with Zac Efron or Justin Bieber?
Justin Bieber, then Zac Efron now.
Hmm. I would probably say Zac Efron, no matter what.
Uh,
I don't this is gonna be mean. I don't know how much he's got going on up there. I don't know how much we would talk about, but he'd probably be fun to dance with,
Yeah,
make out with at the end of the night.
that's true. And he has the arms.
Oh, that's true. You know me. Justin Bieber's got those skinny arms, but you like skinny guys.
I like all guys. I I love so many different types of guys.
Oh, it reminds me of that Lizzo song, Boys,
Yeah, I like
Big
itty
Boys,
bitty
Itty
boys.
Bitty Boys. Oh, so good.
uh, would you rather temporarily switch bodies with somebody like in Freaky Friday or monitor 100 museum exhibits that come to life like in Night in the Museum?
Oh, shit. That's a hard one, but I think I'd rather do the museum just because I love history and I like working by myself. So being alone at night with inanimate objects come to life sounds more appealing.
I think so too, because one, I like my life, I like my body. I don't want to switch with somebody. And there's a whole bunch that you could get in trouble with on that side, if you did the wrong thing or said the wrong thing. And that gives
True.
me anxiety. And and also, you said a smart answer, but I love Rami Malek, and if he was coming to life, ooh, baby, baby, baby.
I don't blame you. There's this website called Storyline Online where celebrities read children's books, and I showed a Rami Malek one this week, and I was just sitting in the back of the room like, his voice is so wonderful, and he has those sweet, sensitive eyes.
Yes. Oh, you should watch Mr. Robot.
I did watch the first season and loved it. I started the second season and I was like, eh, but I loved the first season. I thought it was really clever and had a cool twist at the end. And also, I didn't think of until you brought up, yeah, if someone else was in your body too, it means they would see everything.
Yeah.
Every freckle, every roll. No, thank
Oh,
you.
no, thank you.
Oh man. Would you rather smoke weed with Wiz Khalifa or go to the club with Lil Wayne?
Um, I love Lil Wayne so much, but I would probably rather smoke. I love both of them. I love
I
Lil Wayne
know, I
more.
knew this would be hard for you.
I would probably rather smoke weed with Wiz Khalifa because I feel like it would be in a more intimate setting, and I feel like being at the club with Lil Wayne, being around so many people, that it wouldn't be enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely Wiz. I'm a stoner. I love weed more than drinking. And I agree. Like, I bet Lil Wayne gets crazy in the club. Like, I would like to hang out with Lil Wayne and meet him, but I don't think I could keep up with him in a club.
No.
Whereas I would love to just sit back and laugh with Wiz. Maybe he'll invite Snoop over.
I bet he has some good munchies.
Oh, true. I didn't think of that. I don't know
I
how. He's so freaking skinny.
Oh, his my arms are probably thicker than his legs.
Oh, yeah. Mine too.
I loved when he was posting those like gym selfies on Instagram in his underwear, and I would just be like, "Look at those legs!"
Do your thing.
I know. I'm like, how do they hold his body up?
Right?
Oh, but yeah, I just think it would be a lot more fun, and I bet he. Except here's the thing: I don't like smoking joints that much. I'd
Me
rather smoke
either.
from a pipe.
I'm sure he has bongs. He
Yeah.
probably has vaporizers, like volcanoes and stuff, where you just put the weed in and it blows all the vapor into a bag that you pass around.
Oh, he does. I've seen him on Instagram with one.
There we go.
Yes.
That would be awesome. Shit, I would get love to get high and watch his movie with him.
I was gonna say we did.
What was that called?
Uh, Mac and Dre, something high school.
Yeah, it was a
Mac and
weird
Devin,
title.
Mac and Devin. Oh, I have to look it up now.
Yeah, we'll look it up. Oh, you were right. Mac and Devin go to high school.
Yes, go to high school. I didn't know if it was like, I knew it wasn't high school reunion, but I couldn't remember. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a good movie. It was funny.
I thought it was hilarious.
Me too. And I love that Snoop Dogg's like a 40-year-old high schooler, and they
Uh-huh.
play it like they make it the joke that he is. Oh,
Oh, love it.
well, my last question is not as cool, but would you rather be a secret pop star like Hannah Montana or a secret agent like Kim Possible?
I think that's a cool one. Ooh, secret pop star.
Me too, because
I
I
think
was,
it would be fun to dress up and like perform and like get that high off the crowd, but also having the privacy.
yes, that's what I was going to say too, is that in Hannah Montana, I never really watched it, but I obviously know what it's about and the premise of the show, but she was able to live a normal life after she took off her wig. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, if I could just get
Best
a
of both
wig,
worlds.
yeah,
Like the
get the
song, which I don't know if you
best
know that.
of both worlds.
Then we
Yes.
rock at the show. So good.
Oh,
I kind of wish like I know Hannah Montana was a like really popular and well done show, but I wish it was a children's book series.
that would be cool.
Yeah,
Well, you could write something that's similar, but not Hannah Montana.
true. If E.L. James can do it with 50 Shades,
You can make it like Alaska, Nebraska.
you heard it here first, folks. I do have one more because I made five and I have
Oh,
to do this one.
yes.
But I can cut one out too because it's not that great. But would you rather walk 8 Mile with Eminem or drive through the Boulevard of Broken Dreams with Green Day?
Those are both iconic, but definitely 8 Mile with Eminem.
I love Eminem so much more. I mean, I hope he's packing. That's all I'm gonna say. I know I have one of my very good friends is from Detroit, and she says 8 Mile is no joke.
I just have it in my head that nothing bad is gonna happen,
Well,
even though it does. But
right.
I don't get afraid walking places or driving
Mm-mm.
places. I'm just like, oh, we're going. Like, I'm here.
It's
Like,
how we grew up because we did. This isn't exaggeration. We grew up in the ghetto. Like we grew up hood and in very dangerous places and we survived it. So I think it did give us this street smart and confidence. I feel the same way. I just walk like I fucking dare you to mess with me. Like I'm not the one and today's not the day.
like I have a purpose. Like I know where I'm going, and you
Yeah.
can't look lost. You just keep going.
Yep.
And
And even if you are lost, you'll figure it out because we're not
yeah,
stupid.
no, and usually people don't mess with you when you look like it is not the day and I'm not the one.
It's true. Like they've even interviewed like serial rapists and stuff like that. And they say they look for women who are distracted or like look scared, you know.
Yeah.
And that's not us. Not saying we could never be victims, and we have been victims of stuff before, but you can't live in fear either. And it would
No,
be worth it to meet Eminem.
it would.
He's gotten better with age. Like he looks so hot now compared to
Oh,
10 years ago.
well, he's not on drugs anymore.
True, true.
And
But
he looks healthier and he also doesn't bleach
yes.
his hair.
Yes, I
Um,
love him with dark hair.
yes, he looks so good.
Oh,
Oh,
Love
that's
it.
such a good one. I love that. I thought we were doing three, so my bad.
No,
Um,
no, it's okay. I just went overboard because it was hard to choose, but I had to do that one.
that one is a really good one. Oh,
Oh, we did it.
we did it, and it is not super late like the last couple podcasts have been.
Nope.
I think this was a good one. I'm glad we split the last one into two.
Mm-hmm.
I think, we're still new to the podcast game. We're fine tuning our skill, and, you
Mm-hmm.
know, we don't have anybody, checking our time limits besides us, and we're not the best at that sometimes, but it's so
Yeah,
much
we're
fun.
not. We're a two-woman show here, and but we have fun. And I just hope we've noticed that more people have been listening lately. And whoever you are, if you got this far, thank you. We hope you had
Yes.
fun.
And also, if you want to come back next week, we will be talking about some memoirs for Memoir Madness.
Mm-hmm.
And next week, we're going to be talking about Sorry Not Sorry by Naya Rivera. I'm just repeating this. I know you said this at the beginning, but I do
No,
want
go
to
for it.
close us out that way. That we will also be talking about Yearbook by Seth Rogen.
Which will
And
continue our conversation on ecstasy. So tune in.
yes, there's lots of tea to be had, and
Oh, yeah.
check
He
our
has this story
socials.
with Kanye West I have to tell you about next week.
I've heard some funny stories about Kanye West, so I'm excited. I don't like Kanye West, but I like hearing stories about him because it makes me like, yeah, I was right. He's crazy.
All right.
Uh, well, have a good week, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to All the Tea We Cannot Sip. Bye.
Bye.